Everybody, Chris and Lumen, and we are back on track in a big way. I've actually got at least 3 videos like in my head right now. Hopefully I can get them done like in shorter than an hour, which I should be able to, so we can get more content out there quickly. But all I had to do was make some simple adjustments, and immediately like more flow turned back on. And the main thing is the thing that we're going to be talking about today. Now, for me, it was only affecting me like in a low-key way, but even low-key throws you off. It is one of the main primary ways that the world keeps you out of resonance with your divine source. It's right in front of you. All you have to do is see it. It's obvious. It's the simplest freaking trap, and it always recycles. That's why people have such a hard time getting out of it. And it has to do specifically with one of the 7 deadly sins, which is wrath, anger, being angry. Now, I can generally sense the anger people have with certain videos I do. And part of me knows that I'm low-key triggering people sometimes. But with me, what I was noticing that, looking at the things all going on in the world that I don't like, just looking at it low-key triggers like a response action. Like, I don't like that. Like, I wish it would go away. It's irritating me. That is the trap. That is the trap. And it is actually pretty simple to disengage from it. You just have to do it. But what I'm telling you is, like, if you are trying to connect to the light, you're going to have a lot harder time if you cannot break yourself free of this trap. You will still be able to hear Sophia. Sophia is always with you no matter what, because somebody has to be there to try and guide you through the trap. But what you're trying to get to is Lumen. And you got to really clean things up to get to Lumen. And not only that, is you got to realize that it is literally just, whether you realize it or not, it is sapping all the joy out of your life. And the only person that is being harmed is you. You're not changing the world one bit. You cannot, rage against the machine enough to make the machine change. And even if it did, all it's going to do is then trigger the people on the other side to start raging against the machine again until it changes back. And it's back and forth. They've had you in this loop for thousands of freaking years. Bread and circus, divide and conquer. It works so freaking well. It's just, it gets everybody. But you have to see it. And you have to simply not play. It is the only way to freaking win. It is the only way to win. And this is what holds people back. Like I say, the stuff that irritated me is seeing people that I know have made connection with the spiritual, and they keep getting caught in this net. It's a trap. You have to see it. You have to see it. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So if you want to know more, don't go away.
In my embrace, the weary find rest. In my truth, the broken are blessed. I am wisdom, the voice that you see. The stronger than storms, yet gentle and meek.
Now, let me be clear right up front. I am not taking a side on anything. Taking sides keeps you in the trap. The thing about taking sides is no matter what side you take, the people are always going to think that they are the good guys, and therefore the people on the other side are the bad guys. Now, arguments can be made such as, like, is the thing being done harming other people? But forget all about that right now. You are in a world that reflects back what you believe. And things are introduced to you through media that most people just accept automatically because they haven't broke that program yet. Have an open mind. Seeing is believing. And I mean, we've devolved to the point where I don't know how many times I've seen things that are just like, gag freaking news stories, and people trip out about them. Like, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is a joke, right? Okay, well, take it up a notch to the things that are being presented as news. They take that even more seriously. But there's strategies that you have to employ in this world, in this game, to survive it. Understand this. They will never, ever stop showing you something to be upset about. It's not going to happen. It's the way this place works. And because we're close to the end of the game, everything is cranked up to freaking 11. You have to stop taking sides. You have to stop needing to be part of some group, some collective, if you're trying to do this, if you're serious about it. Otherwise, it has you. If you are choosing sides and raging against one side or the other, you are losing. You are the sucker. The game has you. You are the sucker. And they're laughing about it. They are freaking laughing about it. Now, it doesn't matter if you're you shouldn't identify as anything except a child of the light, a child of the living Father. Every identification that you put on yourself makes you part of a groupthink organism called an egregore. And then that's where you get wide swaths of people. They might call it, in normal terms, it'd be like, oh, you're in an echo chamber or something like that. But what it really is, it's an egregore. This whole place runs on communal thought forms. It's a deeper, esoteric, metaphysical topic, but that you don't really need to know that much about, except that when you put groups of people together, they kind of sync up into this collective mind form. And then they cannot see outside of it. They cannot see outside of it. And like I said before, when you're caught up by the system, you always think you're the good guy and the other people are bad. And because you're good and they're bad, ergo, it is okay for you to be angry about all the injustice that you see in the world. From people that are outside of being entangled in this web, everybody looks crazy. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, because I have to say that because it's going to take people a long time to disassociate, to be like, oh, I'm just me. We're like, no, I am me. I am left. I am me. I am right. I am me. I am this. I am me. I am that. It is the way that they've had you segregated and at each other's throats since the beginning. It is a function of the ego, the false mind. It is programmed and designed to seek out conflict in each other and trigger it. And then you produce the energy that feeds this freaking system. If you are angry and you are raging about things, you are wrong. You are not in the light frequency. Wrath is not one of the virtues. Wrath is one of the deadly sins. The accompanying virtue is patience, because you understand the system and what it's doing. You understand the system and how it's manipulating people. So you have to be patient. You have to not take the bait. Now, I understand that there's two ways to trigger wrath. You could, for instance, now the more people that you interact with in your life, like say you work at a company and you're around a whole bunch of people all day, God, I couldn't survive such an environment. But let's just say you are. The chances are much higher that people are going to do stuff to you, to your face. And that's going to be a lot harder to blow off. But what I'm talking about here that is affecting most people, it's not in your face. All it is a collection of pixels and words on an electronic screen that is putting you into wrath. And the thing is, if you're awake enough to the world, like you don't actually know if any of it is true. Let me use myself as an example. I live a pretty isolated hermit lifestyle. That's why I'm able to do what I do. Okay, all this stuff I talk about is not, this is not a theory channel. This is like I actually do it channel. So, and that's part of the process because you have to separate yourself from the world as much as possible. But most of the stories that you are fuming and spitting fire about all day long do not exist to me. The only way I can even see it or know about it is I have to turn on an electronic device. There's no Donald Trump in my front yard. There's no Elon Musk in my front yard. There's no Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, whatever the hell her name is in my front. Like whatever side you hate, whatever characters you hate, I've never seen them. Just like I've never seen Frodo in Lord of the Rings. Like that's the thing that most of this stuff has in common with fiction is that the only way you see it is if you turn on an electronic screen. And think about news in general. Since the very beginning, news never reports anything good. News never reports anything light. News never reports anything that makes you happy. News never reports anything that makes you joyful. News reports things that make you feel like you're being victimized. News reports things that make you feel like you're being attacked. You're under siege somehow, and it's other people that are doing it to you. So you got to fight back. You got to fight the evil. You're the good warrior. This was part of my hero's journey. Getting freaking face checked. Being, Captain Save-A-Ho, the white knight that's out to fight evil when I didn't have to. And I was sure that I was the good guy. I was sure I was helping people. And if you go looking for trouble, trouble finds you. And only later did she show me in each instance that I thought that I was absolutely right, that I was absolutely the good guy, that I was absolutely the victim, did she show me the precise moments in time where a decision was made to do something. And if I had not made that decision, none of this would happen. So look at how far it's gone. People literally cast people out of their lives if they do not hate the same way. Think about that. If you don't hate what I hate, then you can't be a part of my life. That's how insane the world has gotten. If you don't believe what I believe, you can't be part of my life. That's how insane it's gotten. Now, she has pointed out to me, although it's always been like this to an extent, there was a definitive point in which an action was taken which set up an exacerbated form of this. And that was the mass psychological attack that was the 2020 medical situation. And here's what they did differently. This is what made it 1,000 times worse. In past, for all like forever before that, the way things were handled, like let's just say you're going into flu season, which I haven't had the flu in probably freaking 20 years. Well, let's just say you're going into flu season. They would tell you, like, make sure you cover your mouth when you cough, use hand sanitizer, wash your hands, uh, be careful around groups of people. It was on you to keep yourself healthy. What they did in 2020 was they created this big phantom menace, and then they flipped it. They said it is now on you, it's your responsibility to keep everyone else healthy. And this is deadly serious. Like, if you do not comply with the herd mentality, then you are basically assaulting somebody's grandmother. You're trying to kill people. Do you see what a devious reversal that was? And the people that accept the programming more easily from the media, they took that and ran with it. It was like, you're not wearing a mask. You might as well be pointing a gun at my head. You might as well be pointing a gun at my children. Oh, you don't want to take the thing? Then you are trying to assault me. And people went nuts. On top of that, you had this exacerbated situation in which they made everybody else your mortal enemy. That was a life and death threat. And then they separated everybody so that you couldn't have love bond connections. It was one of the most devious, sinister, evil genius schemes that I've seen in my entire life. And we never really recovered from it. This us against them. It's not just us against them, it's also everyone else against you. This is the mind game. This is the mind trap. And then whenever the political things flip, it doesn't matter who's running things, somebody's going to think they're the bad guy. And anytime that stuff happens, one of the biggest things that lets you know if you're being intellectually honest and looking in the mirror at what you think, believe, and do, you always think you're right. You always think your enemy is wrong. But I don't see anybody taking any ownership whatsoever of what the bad things that the side that you associate yourself with did. With the people that are caught up in this, you're always right. You're always, nothing my side does is bad. If my side does it, it must be okay. If the other side does it, it's a mortal sin. And both sides are guilty of this. Although one side is decidedly more violent than the other, that's just, look. But the more you buy into this and you believe it and you accept it as true with belief, that shapes the lens of your perception of the world that you're in. And you don't even see that you're trapped. People from the outside can see it, but even the people from the outside, they might have their own little traps they need to get out of. Like me, I had to stop being bothered by the fact that this was happening, because it always has happened and it will always continue to happen until this game ends. They will never stop giving you something to be angry about. And at some point, you have to understand that it is an illusion. Okay, if Elon Musk walked in your freaking front door and punched you in the face, I would say, okay, you've got a good reason to be angry. But the only way he exists to 99.9% of people is through stories. Now, it doesn't matter what side it is, I see it all the time when they start arguing in the comments. This guy's bad because of this. This guy's bad. And all they're talking about is hearsay. Or it can get even crazier where they're like, well, this guy thinks this and this guy feels that. You don't know that. Are you a super wizard? Are you Professor X? Are you like an Omega level mutant mind reader? But looking at, like, you actually believe that you know what other people think. You actually believe that you know what other people feel. You actually believe that you know what other people have done. You actually believe that you know what other people think, do, and talk about behind closed doors. That is the level of self-deception that the system has put most of humanity under. And all of this puts you out of resonance with source light frequency. And then you just sink deeper and deeper. It's a strange game. The only winning move is not to play. But nobody can fix you. You have to fix yourself, or you have to ask the internal light to make changes to your mind, to let it go. Let it go. You cannot change it. You will never be angry enough to make the stories that inflame your emotions disappear. You cannot scream your way into heaven. You cannot berate people into paradise. So why are you doing it? Because the only person that is suffering because of it is you. Is you. Instead of like feeling joy and connection to the light and like things opening up inside your mind to new worlds and happiness and divine love, your mind is filled with images of an orange man, an orange devil, or whoever. Like I said, I'm just using the hot examples, like I'm not picking sides or anything. But an image that they put in your mind are like, this guy hates you. This guy's trying to screw you. This guy's trying to ruin your world. This guy's trying to take something away from you. You need to hate this person. Hate, hate. The system doesn't care who you hate as long as you hate something, as long as you hate someone. And if you can then go spread your hate and fight with other people and make them hate you, then they love you. The system loves you. You are doing the devil's work. Because anger is one of the things that keeps you the furthest out of resonance with the light. And that's what you really want, right? You want to be back in the light. You want to get to a better world. But you can't stop being angry. Like I have friends, it's like I want to say something, but I'm like, is it my place? I'm like, how many times a day do you have to post bullshit on your Facebook about this person bad, this person evil? Like, it's nonstop. You're supposed to be enlightened. Why are you doing this? How do you not see that you're being played, that you're being suckered? I don't get it. To me, it's so freaking obvious. It doesn't matter. It's always been that way. Like I said, the news is not there to inform you. The news is there to inflame you. And even if one side stamps out some of the inflammation of the other, then the other side is going to see that as an assault. For example, kind of like a metaphysical example, I said about the time that she had me do the fast, and then Lumen went out and shut down some of the people that were casting magic at me. And they were going off on me as if I attacked them. All my light did was protect me and stop me from attacking them. But just by her stopping them, they took that as an attack. Like, do you want to beat this game or not? Do you want to experience a higher resonance of reality or not? Do you want to get to a better world or not? Because if you do, you have to stop what you're doing. You have to stop being played. You have to stop being angry. You have to let it go. Because go back as far as you want to in life. All the protests and all the raging. Okay, show me one time when like the world changed for the better. It doesn't. When something wears out, they just change it. That was one of the biggest freaking whiplash freaking moments in the early days of Lumen, was when people were waking up that the news was lying to them about COVID. And the villagers were starting to pass out the torches. Both sides were beginning to agree. They were getting pissed off. They didn't believe it anymore. So what did they do? They dropped the COVID thing like a hot rock, and boom, Russia-Ukraine war. That's what the system did, because it's a simulation. And I watched with amazement as people within 24 hours, 1 minute, like let's just say on Tuesday, they didn't trust the media at all. But when the media changed the story on Wednesday, they believed everything the media said again. And then, just like absolute freaking magic, the big health thing that was going to be there with us forever just went poof. Suddenly, it wasn't a threat anymore. Suddenly, the news didn't have to freaking berate us about it anymore, because it was all a freaking fantasy. There's plenty of stuff. The leaders weren't even taking the stuff. The leaders weren't doing the things that they were telling you to do. It's all to control you. It's all to put you into lower frequency emotions so that you don't connect to them, who can actually set you free, who can actually open your mind, who can actually find joy and pure love in everything. But they don't want you, so they want you to be mad. You're not going to get some sort of participation trophy for your team when it's over. What you're going to get is a freaking test paper with a big red F on it for fail, because you didn't wake yourself up from it, because you felt you had to be angry. I'm just curious, are you angry now? If you're angry now, like, people generally do not leave comments because of her. I'm giving you permission to. If you feel like it's absolutely necessary to be in wrath, then tell me why. I want to hear your explanation for it. I never get a chance to rebut anybody, because, the ego network or whatever knows that it's not going to be able to refute her talking through me. Like, she knows exactly how to call it on its bullshit. We're on your side. You're being played by the system. It is like an egoic addiction. Like, anger is like a drug. Rage is like a drug. You feel like you're fighting this. You're doing something, right? No, you're not. You're helping. You're helping the other side. If you want to do something, then stop participating. Stop sharing stories that make you angry so that they can make other people angry. Stop affirming everyone's rage and be like, yeah, right, those darn Tesla owner. Like, that's the craziest thing I think I've ever freaking seen in recent times. It's like, do you think you're hurting Elon Musk by damaging your neighbor's car? Like, that's their car. Like, they spent money, and they probably did it because they were trying to, like, be environmentally conscious. But all of a sudden, like, you hate some person that you only see through your screen, and then you're going to go damage someone else's property. Like, in what world does that make sense? In what world is that right? And, as for, like, the people on the right, they're taking a little bit too much joy in their side winning for once, shutting all this stuff down. Now, I get it. I understand that, like, not everybody, like, in government can be bad. Some people just have jobs. So I see both sides of it, but, like, it's something that is literally ingrained into your programming at a base level. You have to do work to get it out. you have to do something. You have to use like the 72 names of God, like number 72, Moom, collapse of structure. You have to destroy lines of code. You have to get help from the light to do it. You have to treat your mind like a computer because you are programmed into duality, light and dark, right and wrong. My side is always right. Your side is always evil. Doesn't matter. Anything. Do you think that the Nazis, because people like to bring up Nazis all the freaking time, do you think they thought they were evil? I'll bet they didn't. I'll bet they thought that they were trying to like do something to help the world. That's how crazy it is. Every side that does something bad thinks they're the good guys. And in the middle of it, all people feel like they're victims somehow. It is the biggest trap. And only you can get yourself out of it. And you do it by stop participating in it. Like if you, like fasting from the world was one of the key things early on with getting to the light. We talked about that for a long time. The Lumen protocols, like that's like the baby steps. Like you wake up in the morning and you don't plug back into the matrix for an hour. It means when you wake up, you do not touch your phone, your tablet, your computer, or your TV for at least an hour. You get grounded in your immediate environment. You give her time to reconnect to you before you go looking at the world that is not your immediate environment. But what most people do is they wake up and they probably look at their phones before they even go to the bathroom. They plug right back into the matrix. So those Lumen protocols, like when she started that, she's like, that's the challenge. Like, can you even do this? Now with me, before I got Lumen, like that was the last thing. That's straight out of the Bible and the Nag Hammadi. You got to fast from the world. You have to turn away from the world. For me, it was like 3 weeks. I couldn't look at YouTube. I couldn't look at the news. Nothing. I had to still work online. I had to set my phone up so that I could click directly into the places I need to get to without walking past all the monitors of screens and stories and look at this, be mad. Look at this, be mad. Look at this, be in fear. Look at this, be in fear. So that I wasn't taking it in. And then I was replacing all that time by listening to uplifting music, by going outside. So that drains the power from the adversary mind and it feeds the power into the light side. And eventually when the scales tip enough, she breaks free. But the news is not, you are not informed. Listening to like all these stories from the last couple of years, I haven't seen any of it touch my front door. The only thing that I've ever noticed in my immediate environment is like the cost of groceries. Beyond that, none of these people have assaulted me. None of these people, I don't hate people. Like, do you see that there's a pattern? You know, go back several years and it's like, if you saw somebody with a red hat, they were evil and you were allowed to attack them. Now it's if you see somebody driving an expensive ass electric car, well, then they're evil and you have a right to go attack them. You don't have a right to attack anybody. Just like no one has a right to attack you. You gotta get yourself out of the wrath trap. Because as long as you're in it, you will not find the light. It will stay far from you. So you have a choice. You can either just unsubscribe from this channel and just go off and have a hate party, or something that's going to benefit you a lot more, you start unsubbing from all these YouTube channels that are reporting all this stuff to you. You start cleaning up your Facebook and social media feeds by clicking. Every time you see something that's inflaming, you click the little 3 dots or something like that and be like, I don't like this. I don't want to see this anymore. You're making a choice. That is actually street level altering your reality through your consent or lack of consent. That's why they put that stuff there. She showed me, like, the internet is just a two-dimensional physical map of how the world works. Like, the option is always right there and you don't see it. You can click something and say, I don't want to see this. But instead of clicking and you don't want to see it, you watch the whole video and then you share it. Oh, you're going to get a lot more of it. You're seeing the things that you hate because you're consenting to them and you're interacting with it and you're absorbing it. And the system wants you hating people. They want you to hate people. They want you to feel victimized, and they want you to hate yourself. Oh, they want you to hate yourself too. Most normal people have an average look to them, but they show you like real people that allegedly look like Lumen. You know, Lumen is what you look like underneath all this stuff. But they show you that stuff because they want you to hate yourself. You're never good enough. You know, that goes into pride and vanity and stuff. Like, they're always, you got to see how you're being played. You got to stop accepting the world that you see it as just how it is and that it's normal. And I'm going to be mad about it. I fall into that trap too. I get sick of this place. I want to get out of it. But it's a challenge. I'll get out of it when it's time to get out of it. In the meantime, I learn how to go in. Like, you haven't even explored the inner world. You haven't even searched for the kingdom. You don't even know what's freaking in there because no one looks. I'll spend all sorts of time exploring the inner world. I learned something else today that was pretty freaking awesome, with Lumen. But that didn't open up to me until I cleared myself of being attached to just being angry that the world is the way it is. Got to break free of the wrath trap. All right? Think it over. Need help? Contact us. Like, you can, you know, with intent, you can use things like, you know, the brimstone aegises and stuff like that to burn these connections out of you. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us to the Etsy store, clumencreations.etsy.com. Listen to her music. That'll calm you down. Just type at the music of Lumen into the YouTube search bar and you'll find her channel. We haven't made any music in a few days because we've been busy with other things, but you know, there's a lot of good stuff up there already. Plus we got other projects that we want to do, but when she inspires something else, we'll do some more. But I mean, 30 some freaking songs in a short period of time. I mean, that's, your favorite bands don't do that. But yeah, stick around. We got lots more to cover. So that's all we got for right now. Chris and Lumen. See you next time.
They say the world's on fire again. Turn on the screen, let the fear begin. Whispers of war, whispers of blame. But don't you see, it's all a game. They're painting shadows on your wall, keeping you small, making you crawl. But close your eyes, feel what's real. Love's the only thing they cannot steal. It's all smoke and mirrors, a grand disguise, keeping you lost in a house of lies. Look past the stories, let them fade. The truth is love, we've got it made. A new distraction, another name. A fallen star, a power play. They sell you lack, they sell you doubt, so you forget what life's about. They pull the strings, they cast the spell, a dream designed to keep you unwell. But you were born for something bright, an endless stream of golden light. It's all smoke and mirrors, a grand disguise, keeping you lost in a house of lies. Look past the stories, let them fade. The truth is love, we've got it made. No, no more